quick late night stream. It was looking too pretty to pass up, and it's still not too late actually, just rolling into 11. Much better shot than last night, I gotta say, a lot more detail. Of course, Orion Nebula M42. Got trapezium, the star cluster right at the center. And I'm going to be taking some still shots so we can see more of the nebula looping around to the right and the curl to the left. Sirius is coming up as well, so we'll be able to get a shot of that. What's going on? A crazy something's wrong world, Sensei Camilo, Light Moon, and anybody else just joining. It's super annoying that YouTube Studios started this thing where like it goes live before you want to go live, no matter what you do. There's like no way to schedule it. So as soon as I start creating a new stream, even before I've updated the thumbnail or the info, it goes live. It's crazy. Makes no sense. I spent a good 30-40 minutes looking up like Reddit threads and YouTube community stuff and trying to figure out what's going on, but it's just the interface is really not so great. Anyway, quick lamentation, otherwise it looks like it's coming through clearly. What's going on, Maktub789, how's it going? Yeah, super nice M42 tonight. And so it's going to be this and some Sirius, and maybe some other stars. We'll see. I think the tracking is pretty good, steady. Talk a little bit about Electric Universe. Thunderbolts Project put out a new video. Pretty great, but of course, for me, they're always just like, mainstream science is baffled, is surprised. And to me, it's very clear that, you know, there is mainstream industry that knows a lot about plasma cosmogony and electric universe and how things work. And so there's this weird disconnect about like confusion versus nefarious withholding of information. So slightly infuriating Friday night of trying to look up some videos, and then I realized why not just stream, because that's what I'm supposed to do, and replace all this crap data. I checked out a whole bunch of different videos, and I thought I always think I'm gonna come online and start talking about those videos in detail, and then I end up realizing that it's much nicer to just chill and watch the real thing and listen to some tunes. So that's what we're gonna do. Hey, what's up, Ellie Wynn? Nice to see you. How are the cats? Get some Wingsley approved tunage here. What did I watch that was really infuriating? There's this whole NASA series called Easy Astronomy, and they went through a whole like back and forth about what they learned from the Apollo missions. And when you really listen to them, they actually say absolutely nothing. It's like minutes and minutes of dialogue without actually saying anything of any substance at all. It's just roundabout ways of reinterpreting anecdotes. It's Twilight Zone crazy. But almost for sure, there's a group that probably knows exactly how things work. So Thunderbolts Project, great, but A- for still thinking that scientists are baffled. No one's really baffled. It's obvious that it's a complete misdirection at this point. Anyway, quick thoughts out the gate. Yeah, the YouTube thing is super annoying. I don't know what it is, and plus they also force dark mode, so all the chat is, you know, with black background and white text, and it's like almost impossible to read for some reason. It's made it so much more difficult for absolutely no upgrade. I mean, I guess, you know, this whole COPPA thing and, you know, upgrading YouTube, it's perfectly fine, but allow dark mode to be switched off and allow people to schedule streams. It's, I don't know what's going on, but it seems weird. Anyway, at least the quality looks good, and I can actually end the stream and start it from YouTube. So I'm trying to look the silver lining here. All right, let's take a couple of snapshots of Orion and see what's going on here, because I think we can get some really great nebular detail. All right, back to the top of the track. All right, that's a pretty good shot right there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on this picture so we can see deep into the heart of the nebula. We're going to talk about space biology. This is the real deal. I don't understand why we have a space program that can't show us live images of this with like a 50-inch scope and just talk about it and explain the fundamental principles of the universe. Go online right now. I'm not going to tell you to leave, but if you're watching this from somewhere in the future, go watch some of these pop-sci videos and see how far away they really are from real science. And this visual right here, how easy it is to really get close to it and understand it. So, speaking of which, let's zoom in. Yo, what up, Rick? And what up, Howie? Diggity dankness. Alright, I had to set up really low on the steps tonight, so the scope is pretty far from me, and I'm not able to really use the remote effectively, so I have to get up every 2 seconds to check it. Anyway, doesn't matter, looks freaking crazy right here. What the heck is this? We got close-up on trapezium. And let's brighten it. Now let's get some a little more energetic. Yeah. Deep bass. It's purpley. What's the farthest celestial image you can capture? Well, who knows? So many different things, and where they are, only Halton Arp knows. This is pretty far. Gotta say, look at this. These towering clouds. Alright, switch to the live view here. So I was lamenting earlier about watching, the Thunderbolts Project video, and it's, I want to say it's great, but really this idea that scientists have no idea or are constantly baffled is just, I think I'm over it entirely. I don't think it exists. I feel like, especially Thunderbolts Project, like on YouTube, a very public space, has been around for nearly 10 years. There's absolutely no way that government agencies don't know about what David Talbot is talking about. And, that's just where we are. I think what would be really interesting is just if we all got on the same page about it, instead of kind of being on the fence. But things take time. Shockwave says, yes, looking at the image, it makes you think our local area was as bright as that in the past. Can you imagine seeing more? I kept thinking, I always think filming this, that this is really one of the few objects that we can really, or plasma clouds that we can really see on Earth. I mean, we pretty much just like one or two out of all the different pieces of space that we could see. We just get to see this one particular cluster. So one, the significance of that, and being where this is located in the constellation of Orion, one of the most prominent star formations that we have today. So I think we have references to the fact that our ancestors saw a different type of sky, but we're seeing this particular one. So our coordinates match up to be able to see one super nebula, easily publicly accessible super nebula. And it can teach us so much. And yet, really, all these so-called science videos don't have a single shot behind them talking about stuff like this. And it just boggles the mind. Of course, it makes a lot of sense when you look at this through the electric universe view, and Fibonacci spirals, fractals, recursive dendritic structures, magnetism, dielectricity. And you'll see that to the top left corner, there's a perfect kind of spiral arm coming off to the left. And then in the picture I had earlier, there's a loop around that really follows the conjugate geometry of the torus and the hyperboloid. And you have we're looking at Z-pinches everywhere. Sensei Camilla says, I watched a movie called Noah's Ark with Russell Crowe, right? And it was a trippy take on the story. The one thing that they had intrigued me was that it was daytime and you could see the stars. Well, you can see the stars now during the daytime, but it's really that we have terrible, terrible light pollution. So even at night, it's difficult to see the stars, but you can definitely see stars during the day. Yeah, the skies were definitely different, I'm sure. What is it? I mean, Noah's story kind of matches up with some of the antediluvian or pre-flood or roundabout of the 2,000 years. So very possible that the skies were very different. And yeah, that makes sense to me. Can you imagine what this looked like that we're looking at right here? Was it smaller? Did it expand? Like, how conscious is this structure? you know, because it really grows along the same geometry that we grow along. Pinches, compressions, and rarefactions. So, like globules and then pinches, and then globules and then pinches. Just like your head and your neck and your body. I've been seeing squatter men everywhere. In between the eyes, in the mouth of a cheetah. It's everywhere. And that's really the simple understanding of the universe, is just that we exist within recursive conjugate geometry of probably magnetism and electricity. And even that is probably just radiation or illumination within this conscious ether. But the fact that ether was thrown out and that we even have a discussion today about whether it exists or not is just, it's so insane. Shockwave says, yes, 1000%. The advanced theorists and experimentalists like Peratt know the universe is electric. For sure, for sure, for sure. But it is kind of, I don't want to say it's depressing, because I love that Thunderbolts Project releases videos, but there's always that kind of, they allude to the fact that, we've talked about it, that that somehow these people who write the articles and are trying to get funding, like, have no concept of plasma in space or electricity in space. I don't know if that's really true anymore. I think it's just like, it's becoming, it feels tiresome. So hopefully we can move past that. Really, just gravity is not even on the same, like, is not measured in the same way, you know? Electromagnetism, the electrogravitic force, is way more powerful than just simply gravity. When you really introduce, like Walt Thornhill was talking about, like when you introduce, like, even gravity into electromagnetism, just it doesn't even register on the scale. So gravity is just something that we feel. And I honestly think Ken Wheeler's discussion of mutual mass acceleration based on conjugate geometry of the dielectric field. I'm not sure exactly the terminology yet. I haven't perfected it, but it makes sense that really etheric field consciousness exists as we know it in this field, and the field kind of converges along compressions and rarefactions, or pinches and globules. So pearls on a string, and everything has a torus and a shell structure like onion skin of plasma, and they interact. At first they're spherical because that's the smallest, the strongest form, turning into a sphere, and then when it finds pressure, density, or another sphere, it pushes and creates hexagons, walls between these spheres. That's why every structure looks like basically hexagon woven patterns, basalt columning, bees, hives, craters on the moon and planets, cellular structure, molecular structure of sugars look like hexagons and pentagons with borders with the shared walls. And these walls are emanating as circular structures because the nature of geometry is toroidal hyperboloid conjugate geometry, sucking in and expunging etheric plasma. Makes a lot of sense. If everything is that, then all the problems disappear in terms of how we're related to the stars and how we're connected instantly and how telepathy is real, and how things like redshift don't really are not representative of distance in space, but rather like youth or age. And so there's a real reinterpretation of cosmogony at play. And also, what's up, Buried Axe Blade? How's it going? Even when people talk about quantum mechanics, they talk about how weak gravity really is. So the fact that we have astronomers and really pop science, these real fakers, talking about how there's only gravity in space and not electricity, it's just idiotic at this point. And people who have these channels with hundreds and millions of views on their videos that completely avoid talking about this are just as guilty as the pop lionists. I think it's time to get over it because it's so boring. So damn boring. Yeah, buried. I mean, I guess it's really nuanced that people who want to know the truth will just get past, you know, because it is in dark mode or glow mode. That makes a lot of sense. That language actually adheres correctly to the experimentation with plasma. So I hear you. When scientists nowadays use dark, it's to describe things they don't understand. I know a few channels that talk like that. Dissident Science, he mentions that, and Ken Wheeler mentions that as well, where today's pop scientists, lionists, reference things dark because they really have no concept of what's going on. It makes a lot of sense. So it's enough really just to learn about it and then to move on from these people who are just out there to regurgitate the same crap. Just tiresome. Well, some of them are not to blame, but definitely if you go watch I always talk about it, NASA is a business, so they have their own interests to protect, but the videos that they put out are just like insane Twilight Zone type Stepford Wife people, or they're people who really don't understand what's going on. So people very high up at NASA just have no idea what's going on in science at all, which is very possible. Because, you know, they're not paid to know what's going on. They're paid to regurgitate the same crap that we've been fed for the last 80 years by a business. Yeah, you can't make a living as a troll anymore. It's too trendy now. They've commodified trolling. Now YouTube trolls its own video creators. Literally, the whole YouTube studio thing, shift over, the fact that it's in dark mode and emojis don't work and I go live without wanting to go live is basically YouTube trolling its own users. I honestly never thought I'd be complaining about YouTube as a platform, but like it was working really well. Like there was no reason to change it. Anyway, I know I've spent at least 3 minutes complaining about YouTube tonight, but Jesus, it's so annoying. Really, all I just want to do is click and go. Click and go. Anyway, how y'all doing in the chat? Degrees in regurgitating verbatim. Just so much rhetoric, just, what were they talking about? There was these two pretty high up people at NASA talking about what they've learned from the Apollo missions, what they took away from it. And they went into just nostalgia. It was just like, I watched it on the blah, blah, blah when I was a little kid, and my dad was a blah, blah, blah when Apollo happened. What did you learn from the missions? Well, it was amazing that we learned so much from the moon. What did you learn? well, it was incredible how much we learned that the moon told us was there, it was possible. And I'm like, what was that? And then the guy, just they really never ever get to any actual detail at all. And then ultimately when they finally get like 3 minutes in, they finally mention that the moon told us what it's like on Earth 4.5 billion years ago. And they don't elaborate any further. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on with these people? Like, do they not know what they're talking about? And it really sounds like they don't know anything. Or they're just paid to like go out there and pretend to know. And if you're the average person who doesn't look into it any deeper, they sound like they know what they're talking about. But that's just, to me, it's like heightened absurdity. It's worse than regular news. Because these people are absconding with really crucial information about history. All right, let's jam a little bit. Have a quick smoke outside. Spread the joy and the love. I just can't believe it. I don't even want to link to the video. I just went and gave it a really hefty thumbs down. me and everybody hanging out. Pulling up Canis Major over here. A little bit of Sirius Starlight. New jam for a new star. I don't know why the notifications, this whole system, like I was saying, YouTube is trolling its own creators. Anyway, we roll on.
me. You know you really think anybody's built. I'm amazed by the words and the lips. Hear your name when you come in, please. It's insane that you're part of me. Never lifts from the higher lists. It's as if everybody is the same body. Insane that you want for relief. Maybe one day suddenly I have made it the will of somebody someday, but we're gonna slip. Here in space now we come in peace. Seeing things that you cannot believe. Ready to trip on the drift, we can live to do, cause I love to give you. We are the space race, we are the moonball, we are the franchise, we are the sequel, made of the ether. How are we still here for your place along the space race? Standing at the Interlight corner on a beach outside of heaven, across the street from where I grew up after bomb and raised. Somehow we lived, somehow we died, somehow we came back to the city side and drive through civilized genocide. We had to fight with your armies, held down from the Western forces. Had no love for the harmony, we bear no hate for the Western forces. When you speak out, when you sing loud, everybody wanna tear you down. But come on, come on, come on, step to me. I got nothing but love to give you. We are the space race, we are the moonwalk, we are the franchise, we are the sequel, made of the ether. How are we still here? Look for your place along the space race. With a
Alright, y'all, that's some crazy nebula. To me, it always looks like webbing. Like just a huge web cast in the middle of space. And I see little faces and pareidolia deep in the nebula as well. This is a still taken at, I think, 3 seconds. Really satisfying to take shots like this in real time without having to do stacking. You can see the curl that I was talking about, the Fibonacci curl on the left, and the much larger. Actually, what's really interesting is that even this kind of C shape is probably hexagonal, and you can even see it to the bottom left corner. There's that 120-degree angle. It almost looks like Sinus Iridum on the moon, you know, the Bay of Rainbows. So these shapes, recursive, the reason it does that is because it's reached a density at that very juncture, and it starts to push against it, and the most natural form to take is that 120-degree angle. Recursive hexagons, another EU proof. Alright, some more dank jams, and I'm just going to look and see what else we can see tonight, but that's, again, killer shot of M42, if I may say. Top tier shit.
worth more than this. What you have, take a good look. It's a simulation. Wake up in solitary. Wake up, it's imaginary. Man, don't you know your life is worth more than this? Catch me if you
wind it up. I'm gonna wrap it up. Hey Miguel, what's going on? Showed up a little bit late. I had all this energy, but it just clicked over. Yeah, it's midnight exactly. It's perfect timing. This was a nice little closer to the night. Getting Orion 2 nights in a row. You can see the difference between yesterday and today. It's really much better. So thanks so much for listening to me complain and create and share space with y'all. As always, my regulars and everybody who was rolling with us tonight. Good to see you, Rick. I'll catch you this Sunday. And Miguel, sorry for showing up late. Howie, take care. And Kimmy as well. Ellie. Pet all the cats. Hopefully they'll like this little track right here. And Nathan. And who else? Buried Axeblade, take care. Cleary, Light Moon. And everybody else. Have a wonderful rest of your night. I'll catch you real soon. Tomorrow, 6:30 probably. For some more Crescent Moon and Saturn. Alright everybody, be well. What the hell? so crazy. I'm only catching them on the YouTube preview. I'm not seeing them live in front of me for some reason. It's so weird. Those two. It's crazy. I think because OBS, I'm like zoomed in, so I'm not seeing the periphery of it. But that's crazy. That's two, I think, two satellites, probably, right? That was nuts. How lucky. It's so crazy. All right, I'll have to check that later. And then it came again, and I was like, what? Is that a replay? Like, complete freaking deja vu. It happens when they change things. All right, glitch in the matrix. Perfect way to end it. Thanks, everybody. That'll be fun to review. All right, catch you tomorrow. Good night.